Okay, first of all, today I want to get all the rest of these weeds here all cleared out. But I started this last time and now I plan to finish that. I'm using this hula hoe here for this. That does help, especially since there is rock down in here to help get through that. And this is a very handy tool for this particular job. For this section, I'm trying pulling some of these out by hand and just seeing how that goes here on the sides. Looks like some of these areas are softer and I am able to get a decent amount. That one I didn't get the roots, but some of these I'm able to get the roots out very nicely. So I think that's going to be ideal here for the sides. Okay, so most of the weeds are now pulled. Now I'm going to go ahead and run a rake through this and get the final little bits of weeds before I move on to the next project. Okay, so the basic weeding is pretty much done. And you can see here, it's not 100% perfect yet, but it's close to being ready for weed cloth. So I'm going to measure today for weed cloth and figure out what I want to do here. At least weed cloth on the middle, and I'm probably gonna have benches in the sides eventually. But you can see much better. Majority of the weeds are gone, and there already is some rock here. I may scoot that aside and put that on the two side areas. Originally, some of the boards are rotten, but originally there was a border here. So you can see right here. Originally there was a border there and a walkway here. Looks to be somewhere between 3 and 4 feet of a walkway here. So we may go with that. We may adjust that slightly, depending on how much room I want for growing here. But nonetheless, I gotta measure what I want for weed cloth. Okay, here's my next project. This is the walnut tree that I started digging out last time. But as I mentioned, I didn't have a pickaxe, so it wasn't going to be efficient. I now have a pickaxe, so I'm gonna go ahead and take the pickaxe, loosen up some of this really hard compacted soil, and see if we can get this out efficiently, so this won't be in the way anymore. Got some of those roots out of the way so I have a clearer view. Whenever you're taking something out and you start to get a little bit of wobble, that's a good sign. This is starting to wobble a little bit, and I have cut off some of these roots, these surface roots. So we're starting to get somewhere. Hopefully, in not too long, we'll start getting into some of the bigger roots that we can cut off. If we get the majority of this, we'll probably be okay and it won't come back. As long as we can get cut back and get the majority of these roots. If there's a few suckers here or there from some of these roots we don't get, we could always just trim those down. But I think with a little bit more work, we'll be able to get most of this out. can see just how deep I'm getting, and I'm not getting as much branching off as I had hoped for, but it is getting pretty wobbly there. I'm hoping to come across a couple more big roots and then cut it off there. So I'm just a little bit under 2 feet there from the top of that down. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cut it off there at the very bottom. If I need to dig out more later, I can, but I think that'll be sufficient. Getting all the way down there, I don't believe I'll see anything else come up, but I can always trim any small little things that try to come up again. Okay, so you can see there, I cut it off, basically about 2 feet there, and hopefully that's enough that it won't grow back. Okay, so you can see that I filled in that hole and got that basically smoothed over. Once again, I'm going to perfectly level this and get this all situated before I put weed cloth in. But I did do some quick measurements. We have just a little bit over a 10-foot structure here. So I think it was like 10 foot, 5 inches and some change. And so let's just call that 10 feet. It looks like the aisle here in the middle was originally 4 feet. Between these boards, it's just a little bit over, but roughly that. And then roughly here on the sides, we have 3 feet. So I'm actually pretty happy with that, and I think I'm gonna stick with that. Okay, so for the next project of the day, I have a little time left. I need to put in more of these guys here, these support bars here on the side. So you can see that along there, most of those are in on that side. But when you come over to this side, of course, I need to do some trimming, but they're not there. And then of course, if you go up here, the top support parts aren't there. Okay, so I have the primer and the cement. I'm going to put the primer, then the cement on either end, and then slide that into these holes and see how far I can get. Okay, so I started getting some of those put together there, but what I'm realizing is I'm gonna have to come through and do some work on these hoops. So you'll notice there that it's uneven, especially like that one right there. You can see how much higher that is. These hoops are not all the same height. So somebody started putting together this greenhouse a while ago and they didn't finish it. And they were scrapping together hoops from other greenhouses. And apparently there were some different sized greenhouses. But once again, much better in terms of weeds. And definitely a lot of progress made today. Well, thanks so much for following along with me. If you're not yet subscribed and you'd like to follow my journey, getting this greenhouse going once again, and possibly in the future working on other greenhouse structures on this property, make sure that you subscribe so you can follow along. And until next time, thanks for watching.